This is the Sennheiser 112P G3. It's a relatively calm day wind-wise, so I don't have a Rycote windjammer on here. It does have the little cap that comes with it that goes on the lav mic. Well, I wish the wind would pick up just a bit so I could kind of get an idea if this does anything. There is a slight breeze that I can feel, but I just don't know if it's going to register or not. We'll see. I'm going to pace off my distance here from the tree to the camera. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 12 to 13 feet. My first step looked like it was a little bigger than a foot. So anyway, I'm gonna cross around here in the frame, and as if I was, talking through a more of a hands-on interview, or what do they call that? Maybe a demonstration. If a talent was maybe walking around behind a table, turning away from the camera to point at a whiteboard. The camera settings right now, and I'm pretty sure I'm shooting in the Sennheiser style. However, I was messing with that earlier, so it may be on something else. I do know that the shutter speed is 1/50th. The frame rate is 24 frames per second. The ISO is at 100, and the f-stop, I'm not using an ND filter, so the f-stop is, I want to say it's around F14. It's between F14 and F18. Actually, maybe I can just take a look real quick. I'm gonna see if there's gonna be any interference from walking around. I am at F13 and it's showing a little low, so I'm gonna bump that down to F11. And I just want to have a nice long track of audio here to listen to. The weather conditions are somewhat unstable today. It's not that windy, but I mean, there's sun, there's storm clouds over to the right, my right. It's clear back behind my left shoulder, so there's really no telling what type of a radio frequency behavior is going on right now. I'm in an area that is a kind of a new type of industrial park. There's a lot of, I think they call them office parks now, although there is more heavy industry in these buildings over here and more light industry or just offices that require bigger space over in this area back over here. These buildings right behind me really don't have that much there. I would call it light industry, though. There's certainly nothing there of well, to my knowledge, that would cause tremendous radio interference. This particular model of the Sennheiser G3 is, the frequency range is, of course, it's UHF, not VHF, but it's in the 500s. When I bought this set from B&H Photo, I basically went by the number of people that had reviewed each of the different frequency ranges, and the most people had reviewed the 700 or the higher 700 range. So I picked the 500 range, thinking that perhaps there would be less people in my area that would possibly have the 500 range. I don't know. It's kind of a crazy assumption, but whatever. One thing to note is that I did not do any setup changes to the set. It's basically right out of the box. The frequencies are the set frequencies. I did not do a scan. So the default frequency right out of the box is what you're hearing right now. Hopefully that doesn't affect the test anyway. I mean, as long as that channel is clear, meaning that there's nobody else using that channel, then there shouldn't be a problem. That's probably 2 or 3, 4 or 5 minutes of solid video with me just yammering away. Should be a pretty good test. Anyway, most of the tests you see these days are people doing distance tests, and that's really doesn't do much for me. Like I said, the camera right now is about 12, 13 feet away. It's and my focal length is 50 millimeters. So in my typical scenarios, there are very few times that I would actually need a distance greater than this. Though I've seen some tests online. Dave Dugdale, most notably, where this unit, I believe, they paced it out to a good 100 feet in downtown Colorado and perform really well. So I expect this distance to be really well. One thing I am going to look for when I review this video is how well it did when I got really close to the camera. My background in signal, I used to be in the United States Army, a signaleer, and I know from working with SHF and some VHF, and some UHF as well, that you can actually induce interference on some systems if the transmitter and the receiver are actually too close. So I'm curious to see if we had any snap, crackle, and pop when I came closer to the unit before. I'm going to walk all the way over here. I'm on the same distance plane, but I know I'm out of frame now. And I'm just going to walk left and right. I'm probably 25 feet from the camera right now, and my back is to the camera as well. I'm just really curious to see how this is going to sound. I'm going to just walk across. I'm going to try to keep talking as I do this. I'm walking on sidewalk here, which is art, which is probably a good thing because I can maintain the relative distance from the camera. And I'm going to walk about the same distance this way that I was on the other side of the frame, about 25 feet straight line to the camera. I am now turned away from the camera. I'm looking at that left set of office buildings over there, and now I'm turning back around and I'm walking back slowly into the frame. Probably over the course of this video you've seen the light levels increase and decrease. The exposure right now is probably a little low because that sunlight is now behind a pretty thick dark gray thundercloud. This video obviously isn't about visuals though, so but I am curious to see if it affected the audio in any way. If you know much about radio frequency and propagation, the way radio frequencies move through the air can be affected by clouds. Now in this case, since the transmitter and the receiver are within line of sight, there shouldn't be an issue. But you can get what's called rain attenuation if you're shooting outdoors, and if it's raining, if there's a heavy enough downpour between your transmitter and your receiver, that signal can actually get blocked by the water vapor and the water droplets and cause some attenuation to the signal. It's not raining now, of course, so we can't really test that. I don't know if I would have this unit out in the rain anyway, but anyway, just something to bring up. Most of what I'm saying right now is just babbling because I want to have a nice long demonstration to go by. So anyway, my name is David Goodman from Pro Focus Media. If you got anything out of this, subscribe to our channel. We're not going to do a whole lot of reviews and stuff like that. There's plenty of people out there, Dave Dugdale, DSLR Film Noob, some good stuff already out there. But whenever we come across something that we think can give a little additional information, then we'll put it out. So anyway, take care.